Okay, good evening, you guys. I have another goodie for y'all. Coming this month, when we're talking about Black history and honoring Black relationships, I thought it was really important to discuss the value of Black men and, of course, the interest in Black women being with Black men. Dating is one of those taboo experiences, and maintaining relationships are one of those taboo experiences. But I think far too often we don't hear directly from Black men their experiences with Black women unless it's coming under some kind of controversy or some kind of challenge or aggressive dialogue. So I really wanted to and my goal in all of this is I'm interviewing Black men, single Black men, discussing what their challenges, barriers, concerns are, specifically when dating Black women. So this is really a very special experience. I have Charles Hall here, whom I met in whoa, I think I was like in middle school, maybe
Is an elementary.
at a long time. Like it was
Yeah.
a like long time. Like we used to play basketball together long time. And so I am so grateful for the privilege to interview him today and for y'all to just allow this experience to be something that you embrace and take in. It's not about agreeing or disagreeing, it really is about listening and hearing perspective directly from the men that you intend to date. So, welcome, sir.
Hello, ma'am. How are thou?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. I'm great. Thank you for asking.
Thank you. Well, I want to I would like for you to tell them a little bit about yourself, where you live, like where you're from, what you do, what you're looking for at this time.
Cool. As for me, she introduced me as Charles. I go by CJ, go by Anson. I am a 34-year-old medical professional. I work in business, well, medical administration. Um, I'm an HBCU grad twice. Shout out Southern University and Grambling State University. Um, and you know, I spent a little time between California and New Orleans, and those two scenes are very different when it comes to dating. Um, because on the West Coast, you have a fast-paced city type of situation where people are, I guess, makeshift, kind of rude, compared to the South, where South people are more welcoming, um, and it's just a different spectrum. As for me, I've dabbled in and out of the dating scene, and it's a wild place. It's a wild place for singles. It's a wild place for people my age. I guess compared to when I was younger. Um, I will say I dated outside of my race once, and it wasn't for me. I'm pro black, love black women. No matter the shade, weight, size, I don't have a type. I'm more about energy. So if somebody's energy feels off, I'm probably not gonna be interested. Um, as of right now, just because everything is so complicated when it comes to dating, um, I guess I'm just more so looking for like a companionship. I feel like anything other outside of that, it'll happen if it's supposed to happen. Companionship is the foundation that I'm looking for. Because everybody says you need to start with friends, but in my opinion, I guess if I view you as a friend, I don't view you romantically.
Yeah.
So if if I get a companionship with you and we vibe off of energy, then there's room for that romantic portion.
Yeah.
So I tend to hate to use the word friend because I tend to treat my friends as friends.
Yeah.
Like there's no there's no romance, there's nothing. We hang out, we talk, That's it. There's
Yeah.
nothing that's gonna blossom out of that. So if we, if I start from the beginning with the whole companionship situation, then we can discuss where we can go from there. But yeah, that's me. Sorry. Hey, hi.
You're good. I love that. Well, and I'm glad that you said that because I want to ask about that. It's interesting that you said the whole concept around friends because a lot of the time when I'm working with clients and they talk about, well, we dated and I want to maintain a friendship, and I said, okay, well, let me ask you a few questions. Is this someone you would call in need? No. Is this someone that you would spend time with, like just hanging out, watching movies? Would you have your children around them? No. Is this someone that you want to invest time into outside of romance? No. So this is not your friend. I think that that whole
Exactly.
idea has gotten very confused or muffled with the idea of wanting intimacy with someone, but being friends with someone is a very different concept than dating them or being in an intimate relationship with them outside of friendship. If you didn't
Right.
meet as friends, you're most certainly not friends after you date. That comes later, but that's not. I'm so glad you said that because those are two very different concepts.
Yeah, I usually when I'm dating and I hear women say, "Oh, well, I'm looking for a friend first," and I tend to ask, "You want to be taking out on dates and you want this? Is that the type of friend you need? Because if that's the type, that's not a friend."
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like a friend, I don't take my friends out on dates. We might meet up for drinks, we might meet up for food, but it's an outing. It's not a date.
Hmm.
There's nothing to be expected.
Yes.
So and I feel like people, like you said, people misconstrue that or confuse that terminology or try to use it as a scapegoat to have that intimacy but not be fully connected with it
Yeah,
because we're just friends.
I agree.
So yeah.
I agree with that. So then tell me more about this idea because it's, and you correct me if I'm wrong. What I heard you say, or what I heard, the undertones of what I heard you say were I was at some point looking for more, but it seemed to be too complex or just or even discouraging. Now I'm just really focused on trying to find companionship. Is that, am I on track with that? Is
Yeah,
that
no, most definitely. Like I said, people go into relationships or go into situations. When they even say relationships, they go into situations with certain expectations,
yeah.
right? They usually never tend to discuss these expectations with the other person.
Mm,
So when you're in a situation, and I feel like everybody has a mental checklist that they don't let the other person know about.
yeah.
So you know, and that's where the miscommunication comes in.
Yeah.
So, you have some people who, if you meet their checklist, they're ready to jump into a relationship, and they don't think about if they met your mental checklist.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you met mine, so either you're gonna do this or you're playing games.
Mm,
And it got, after a while it gets too much. It's like, hey, like, take our time, whatever. And granted, cool. Like, sometimes you vibe with certain people faster than others.
yeah.
And there's no time clock, there's no ceiling on anything. But I feel like nothing should be rushed because somebody met your standards right away. And it's like you need to figure out. So with my situations, I've ran into that because I feel like I'm a cool, calm, and collective kind of person. Very independent. I cook for myself. I take care of my bills. I don't have any kids. So when I do meet women, it's like, oh, well, we need to be in a relationship. And it's like, hey, like, one, I don't know you. Two, like, I'm not good with rules. So it's like, don't rush me without knowing if you even met my standards.
Mm,
Yes. And it's cool. I met your standards, but it's like, did you meet mine?
yeah.
And, and I find a lot of men that I talk to, like, we we tend to have that in common.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and it's funny. So it's like now to even break that down, and I say companionship, I say it more so to see where someone's head is at.
Yeah.
Because my thing is companionship. If anybody knows, even if you look at the definition of companionship, companionship is is basically spending time with someone in the hopes that you build some type of feeling. It's a feeling. It's not like we're dating in hopes to be romantic. It's we're dating to see if we even like each other.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and you can have a companionship with someone, and either it can turn into a friendship or either it can turn into a relationship. It has room to bounce, rather versus a romantic relationship. It's like you said earlier, it's kind of hard, for that to either blossom into a friendship, because one, you've had feelings for this person, either this person hurt your feelings, so the whole friendship type of situation is kind of rocky.
Yeah. Yeah. What are your standards when you think of um let's go all the way. Let's go into marriage, the idea of marriage.
Okay.
If you are
Okay.
saying I want a wife, what
Right.
what give me the rundown of what qualities you're looking for, what who she needs to be.
Okay. So I just had this conversation with my mom's husband. He's a pastor. Like we always have these like debatable conversations. And I was telling him that I, for instance, I'm looking for something tangible versus intangible.
Okay.
Okay. So I need something that either one I can benefit off of, and that I can't do for myself, or something that I can actually touch and feel and utilize.
Okay.
Right. So when it comes to like my wife or people that I'm dating, that I'm looking or dating with a purpose,
Yeah.
um, they usually require men to provide tangible things, right? Financial security, houses, protection, providing. Those are tangible things. Those are things that you can benefit off of right away. Those
Yeah.
are things that you can benefit off of, versus what a lot of women say they bring to the table, in my opinion, is usually intangible.
Yeah.
And I say love any, I feel like, and it's just my opinion, but I feel like when it comes to love, you can get love from anybody. Everybody has the ability to love,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I feel like everybody doesn't have the ability to provide.
Mm.
Everybody has the ability to support you,
Yeah.
but everybody doesn't have the ability to protect you in the way that you need.
Mm.
So when it comes to a wife, and my standards are pretty simple. I'm big on consistency.
Okay.
So I'm big on finish how you start.
Okay.
Always. That's how it is. I'm big on do or say, do what you mean, or do what you say you're gonna do.
Yeah.
I'm very big on my word. And even if I hate and I don't want to do it, if someone asks me to do it, or if I said I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
So I guess you would chalk that up to reciprocity.
Okay.
So it's consistency, reciprocation, um, and just um, someone who loves me as much as I love them. That that would determine, I guess, more so the qualities of a wife for me, because the characteristics change. Everybody tends to have the same characteristics. People's hardworking, educated. I mean, we're all educated. If we're not educated, we're educated in some way, form, or fashion,
Mm.
be it street smart or book smart. So those are things that, as a man, I don't really too much pay attention to, because I feel like it's a dime a dozen.
Mm.
Um, career wise, that's usually big, because usually when I meet women, it's, oh well, I have this career, and it's like I can't profit off your career. Your career does nothing for me.
Yeah.
So it's cool congratulations, you can survive on your own, but that's going to do nothing for us as a person. You know, someone who's God fearing, because God is the head of my life. So, you know, I don't need you to be a super Christian, but I need you to actually have a faith, you know, or believe in something.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have to believe in the same things, but I would rather you believe in something or fall for anything. Like, you know, and someone who wants kids, because I do. I want a family.
Mm.
Um, and I feel like people don't take the whole family and marriage situation very seriously nowadays.
Mm.
It's a very finicky type of thing. A lot of people don't want to be married no more. They don't feel like they should be married. Um, and granted, I grew up in a married household. My parents split, and then my mom got remarried. So, you know, I've seen the ups and downs of a marriage, and I understand that, you know, hard work is the foundation of a marriage. Like it's work. You know, it's not what we see on TV or social media, and it's not goals, and it's a lot. It's work.
Yeah.
So, you know, those are I would say my expectations and my standards are pretty simple. Um, when it comes to that, I'm not really into the whole Instagram model situation. Um, you know, I've dated big girls, I've dated skinny girls, I've dated girls way taller than me. So I don't really have a preference when it comes to body. Like I say, I'm more of an energy type person. If your energy is off, or you know, it's just I don't know. But you know, and then somebody, I guess the biggest point of it all, besides the consistency and the reciprocity, is someone who's mentally aware of their traumas.
Mm.
Um, because I went through depression about a couple years ago, and I don't know if it's too much. But
Oh, go. Oh.
oh, okay, cool, yeah, no, like, and I tried to kill myself. I tried to kill myself, um, just because it was a lot going on. I had got an injury. I had to stop working for a minute. I was with this young lady who actually faked the baby on me because she knows how I feel about family. Just for us to break up, and then she was messing with another guy, and end up getting married about 4 months later.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a lot of, um, but you know, I went to therapy and basically just unraveled some layers of my life that needed to be unraveled.
Mm.
And, you know, it gave me a new appreciation for mental health.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I tend to meet a lot of women who haven't unpacked those traumas.
Yeah.
And they tend to jump from relationship to relationship, blaming other people for triggers that those people didn't cause.
Yeah.
And you know, and it's not their fault, and I don't blame them. It's just I would rather someone either be aware of their mental traumas or be willing to get the help for those mental traumas.
For sure.
Yeah, so
Sure.
that's where I'm at with it.
First and foremost, thank you for sharing that. So much of what you said, I want to unpack, and I want to start with what you said about that experience and having suicidal thoughts. When I tell you I think why I feel so passionate about working with Black couples and repairing Black families is because we're so broken in so
Where
many ways. And I cannot tell you how often I get the privilege to work with Black men that just have no clue about who they are and how they got here. And it's almost like they find themselves in a place where they're like, I'm just a provider. I'm just here servicing other people with no purpose, no direction, no journey. I'm just here. And it's hard to watch, but it's beautiful to see that journey change. And that's what I'm hearing you say, is like you got to this point where this shit is not working. Like I
at
have to
all.
do something. I have to do something different. But you didn't just sit in that. You said, no, I'm gonna do something about it, which is invaluable because you're right. When we're getting in relationships, we bring a lot of baggage. We bring a lot of baggage, and it's easier to make our spouse responsible for fixing us versus stepping back and taking accountability and saying, you know what? Let me go and do the work. So when I get into this relationship, not that you're going to be perfect, but you absolutely will be more aware. You will be able to handle your baggage and your shit a lot better, and not make your partner responsible for that or traumatize them because of it.
Most definitely. And that was my biggest thing. Like I've been single for about 2 years now. And just not because like I couldn't have been in a relationship, because I could have.
Yeah.
But it's just, you know how you can just tell somebody's not ready for the the type of shit that you bring, or
Yeah.
that you may bring. Um and that's where I was at with it, because I'm a very dominant spirit. Like I know my energy is very dominant.
Yeah.
So if you haven't unpacked your emotional traumas, I'm gonna trigger you.
Mm,
And it's not, and I'm not gonna trigger you purposely, but I'm gonna
yeah.
trigger you because you don't know.
Yeah.
So, and and I guess family also would be like a big thing for me, because I tend to like meet, I love to meet other people's families
Yeah.
just so I can see how the families operate, so I can get a little bit of insight on how that person's mindset is.
Yeah.
And, you know, and you can tell by meeting somebody's family how that upbringing went by, because, especially in the social setting. So, but yeah, like when it comes to dating, like you said, I just want to just touch on the whole black men feel like they have to be a provider type of situation, because that's how we feel about it. It kind of goes back to the whole tangible things versus the intangible things.
Mhm.
It's across the board. You can any woman to tell you, oh, well, he needs to be financially stable. He needs to do, and hearing that as a man, it's like, okay, cool, I can do that, but it's like, what am I getting?
Yeah.
And then it's always the same thing. Well, love and support, and it's like, in certain men, like it's like that don't equal up. Like that it doesn't. Like that doesn't equal out. Like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, that's what I was
especially
going
like
to ask about measurable because because you're, first and foremost, you're absolutely correct. Love doesn't pay bills. Love doesn't love is great and it's awesome and
amazing.
it
Yeah,
but
but
it cannot withstand a relationship. It can't
yeah,
hold it together. It just
it's
doesn't.
not a tangible thing. And like
It's
that's
not enough.
that's that yeah, and that's what I was saying. And it's just like, and also, I mean, just to just shed light on it, I feel like love is based on, or like I was just having a conversation with a young lady at work about this. I told her, certain men feel like the the only way they're gonna get love from a woman um is based on how they make her feel.
Mm,
Um and it's wild because that whole phrase of happy wife, happy life.
yeah.
And it's like, it's like basically a woman can stop giving what she's offered based on how she feels,
Hmm.
but you're still responsible for providing, protecting, and all of that, no matter how you feel or not.
Yeah. Yes.
So yeah. So and it's wild because that's usually like the whole like prerequisite. And it's just like, okay, so if I'm bringing all of this, like, again, what are you doing? So when you're talking about measurable, I just feel like there should be some type of balance,
Yeah.
right? Um, because we tend to love to stray away from, or I guess adhere to gender roles when they're beneficial to us.
Yeah.
Um, and with me, and I think that's why I either intimidate a lot of women, or I tend to, I guess, become a challenge because, for a while before my mom was remarried again, I was in a single parent household.
Yeah.
My dad was in Jamaica, because shout out to my Jamaicans, and he was in Jamaica, so my mom, was raising me out in LA, so she had to teach me how to be sufficient.
Yeah.
Um, so when it comes to cooking, cleaning, doing all the things that I guess women have done for other men in the past, I do myself.
Yeah.
And, so it's like, well, I can't do that. So either I have nothing to give you. And it's like, nah, you have something to give me, but we just tend to not pay attention to certain things when we feel inadequate.
Mm.
Because, you can pretty much tell what someone needs from you if you just pay attention. Or again, if you have that conversation.
Yeah.
But we tend to not think or not talk or not want to pay attention because usually it's about us and what we want from that person and not what that person needs from us.
Has that been, well, two questions.
Go ahead.
In your experience with dating, do you find that it's one-sided, like the women you're dating are not really invested in giving you what you need or meeting your needs? It's more so about whether you, because they're the prize, so
Most
whatever,
definitely. Yeah,
them
most
giving you
most
whatever
definitely.
you get, you should be grateful for.
That is exactly what it is. And I meet an array of women. I meet women in medical professional. I meet nurses. I meet lawyers. I just went out with a neurosurgeon like not too long ago. And it's crazy because I feel like nowadays, because of women are tending to make more money than men.
Mhm.
um they're turning into the shittiest of men, if I could say it that way. So, and when I say the shittiest of men, okay, back in the day, you had a man who basically had nothing more to offer than money,
Yeah.
right? Job status, whatever. And those men were, well, I deserve this, and I deserve that, and I deserve this. So, a lot of single women who are on their shit,
Yeah.
and it's kudos to them, and it's a proud thing, but they turn, when it comes to dating, they turn into that type of shitty man to where they deserve X, Y, and Z because they have these accolades.
Mhm.
And it's like these accolades, dating, what can they do for you? They can't really do anything for you.
Yeah.
It has no substance. You can be X, Y, and Z, but if you're a shitty person in a relationship, your relationship is not going to be a great relationship.
Yeah.
So, like, when it comes to like dating and me meeting these women, it's like, oh well, what do you have to offer? And basically, like, what can you do for me?
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm right there with you, sweetheart. Like, I got the good credit, I got the no kids, I have the career, I have the car, I have my place. So why is it that it's still what can I offer you? It's instead of what can we offer each other?
Yeah.
And it's usually one-sided in that. And it's, well, you need to do this for me, and you need to jump through these hoops to make me feel comfortable and wanting to date you. And it's like, okay, well, while I'm doing all of this, what are you doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I'm
You
glad
know,
you said that. What role does sex play in all of this? Because that's a taboo,
um,
interesting
I
concept
mean,
when you're dating.
uh, while I don't know, because I mean, some people think sex changes things. Um, but me, like, I guess the way I view sex, I don't view sex as intimacy. I view non-sexual things as intimacy. Um, So if we're talking about like my love languages, like my love languages are physical touch and quality time.
Okay.
So I feel more, I guess, close to someone when we're spending time out in the streets or out and about. Um, I feel like that is like the most intimate thing. My thing is the beach. I love the beach. And being from California, like the beach is within driving distance.
Yeah.
And I have a spot in Marina Del Rey that I go to think. So I feel like if I can bring you to that spot, to me that is more intimate than anything that we can do sexually.
Mm.
To me, sex to me, I guess, while single or while before marriage is the act of pleasure. That is it. That is all. I mean, I guess it can be used as a gateway to emotions and romance and all of that. But I feel like because it's so accessible, and I feel like because anybody can do it and everybody's doing it, and because it's more socially acceptable now, it's a means of pleasure. So I feel like when it comes to intimacy, um, those non-sexual things can cause more of a emotional bond than the sexual things.
I get that. I can totally understand that. And so then let me ask you this. When we talk about the idea of connecting the dots, so you have the intimacy piece, you have sex, you have empathy, you have consideration, you have compassion, you
Right.
have because relationships are transactional, period. Like there's
Well,
no
oh,
thing around
definitely.
that. But and that's what you were
At
talking
all.
about. Okay, so women asking, so what are you going to do for me? The idea is also that we're offering something that you want, not just that we're offering something that we're willing to give, but we're offering something that you're actually interested in or invested in getting, which is, I think, the key to what you were saying. It's not just about, well, I have a career and I make money, I bring that to the table. Well, what if I don't care about that? Well, what if I don't care about your master's degree, or you're that you're a doctor, or that you make 200, 300, $500,000 a year? What if that doesn't matter to me? Then what? What's the next step to that?
And that's
Where do
exact.
you find the barrier is when you start to get to that space of like, okay, yeah, like Ironers, I hear you, but you're not listening to what I'm telling you I want. What happens at that next step? Where, because there's something in my mind, there's something happening between women expressing what they want to need, men expressing what they want to need, and then at some point it just kind of turns the opposite way, and then you're starting over.
It's a battle of control. It's who's gonna cave, and I think that's usually what it is. Because I mean, a lot of men don't care about a woman's career or finances, like because it again, it's an intangible thing. Because at any given time, that you're gonna still look at me as a provider, no matter what. So when it comes to that, it's like, a lot of women want to be in control. And I feel like a lot of women think submissiveness is either slavery or them having to give up themselves completely.
Mhm.
And I feel like we have like a I guess a misunderstanding when it comes to submission. Um and I feel like there's a fear of the unknown,
Yeah.
because a lot of people don't know what submission is.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, and
Yeah.
and and it's scary because, but then again, I can't blame them because a lot of them come from single parent households,
Yeah.
or they come from households where, submission uh it wasn't in the forefront,
Mm.
you know, or their parents were working and you didn't really get to see that idea of or that example of what submission is.
Mm.
And, when it comes to dating, it's like, well, I feel like I don't need a man. And it's like, cool, nobody needs anybody if you really think about it. Like, but we at the same time, we do need each other.
Mm.
And, a lot of single women feel like, well, I got this, so you need to cater to me. And it's like, well, I have the same thing. So who's going to cater to who?
Yeah.
And then it becomes that battle of, well, that's not my job. And, but this is your job. And it's like, nah. So that's where the whole bumping heads and then starting over starts from.
Mm. Submission is tricky because, and I think you said it so well. It really scares folks. It almost is like in this idea of them losing everything, almost like I have to do
Yep.
what, so I'm having to sacrifice everything. And you're absolutely right, it's not about that. Submission really speaks to you making yourself vulnerable in that space with your spouse. Everything from allowing them to give you criticism or corrective feedback, from them being in a space with you that you are making yourself available to be heard. That's just a part of what relationships are. And that is being submissive to whatever their needs are, because you're expecting them to submit to yours. I mean, but you know what? I do think that at some point, it's not considered that what you're asking a man to do is submit to what your needs are, but you are saying, I need you to submit to these things for me. And then it's almost like this idea that submitting to men means you're giving up everything, and that's not what that means. So I am really glad that you say that, because I agree. I think it is a concept of control. I did an interview earlier, because I want women to hear directly from men versus hearing from women
Of course.
what this looks like. And it was interesting because he was just talking about how, when kind of the same thing that you're saying, women show up, they want you to do all these things for them, and then when you offer some sort of like, okay, well, what are you going to do for me? Well, this is what I need. It's like, no, no, no. And but I don't think that women don't understand that in that moment they disqualify themselves. The
They
moment
don't they
that
don't
you
understand that.
say that again.
No, I said they don't understand that. They don't understand that that's a disqualification.
Mhm.
It's a date is an interview. Dating
Yeah,
is interview.
it is.
You know. So my thing is, I feel like it's like you want this job. You want this person to be your significant other. Cool, right? So cool. You're putting your job experience out on the line, right? This is what I have. This is what I offer. This is what I'm bringing to the table. Cool. Now it's like, oh, these are my demands. All right,
Mhm.
cool. So you bring out your demands. So once the young lady brings out her demands, okay, well, this is my counter offer demands.
Yeah.
Well, why do I have to do your counter offer demands? This is not about you. It's about me. The woman is the prize, and it's just like, technically we're both single. We're both the prize right now.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, this is not 1960. This is not 1940 where men had no other skills outside of working. So
Mm.
of course, yes, you were the prize because you were the homemaker. You were there to make sure that everything was fine, and you know he was there to provide for you. Cool. We're in a different time. We're in a different we're in a whole different type of situation nowadays. And you know, instead of a helpmate, and people like to misunderstand that whole context and terminology. Um, they tend to want to be the star of the team.
Mm.
Like if I had to relate it to sports, it's instead of you want to be a teammate and a role player, you want to be the star.
Yeah.
And it's like if you got two stars on one team, your team your team not going it's not gonna go nowhere.
Mm.
If everybody play their position and everybody shows off their strengths, then you know you have more of a chance to go to the championship.
Mm, you are
Because
right.
yeah, I feel like any woman I date, um, she has like, especially if I'm interested in you, you display something that I know I don't have.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm interested in you, because it's something that you've displayed either, via conversation or me being around you. If I want a relationship with you, it's something that you can do that one can either teach me something, one that can either help me progress in some type of way, or some type of temperament, and vice versa. I feel like I can teach somebody something, or I can be a helper, and like I feel like that's what relationships are missing nowadays. It's more so like, you need to help me, but that's it. Like, there's no reciprocation. And
Yeah.
I find a lot of men feel like that. It's like, like, what am I doing? And what am I getting outside of sex?
Mm. First of all, you're dropping gems. Let's start there. Let's start there. And secondly, I love that you use the metaphor of, about working as a team. Any couple that I work with, I use the metaphor of Kobe and Shaq. They both were
Of
on.
course.
They both were on the team. You from LA? You watched it
Yeah.
during that time, right? They were
Right.
both on the team, and it was a damn catastrophe.
Yeah, but shit show.
It's
Yeah.
only one captain. They can both be superstars, but there's always only one captain. And the moment that they figured out that there's always one leader, but you can be a supportive role and an integral supportive role in that team.
Exactly. You
It
can you can display your strengths.
it was
Exactly.
it literally was that simple. Figuring out how to work as both of you are superstars, but there's still only one captain. And I think the idea of like, it was something when my husband and I went to premarital therapy, and my therapist said, people think that it's always going to be 50-50, and it's very rarely 50.
Not. I just had that conversation.
80-20, 70-30, 60-40. You are going to be at any point in time in your marriage, it will change, it will ebb and flow, but you have to know when to pick up the pieces and pick up the pace, and then slow down and let your spouse do the work, the heavy lifting, if you will. So all of that, that's about teamwork. It's about communication, it's about support, it's about empathy, it's about compassion and consideration. And it's also about, because I think the other piece to this is understanding that men are people. When we get in these relationships, we expect them to do everything and be everything. And sometimes, most times, they have their own shit that they're trying to work out too. So we have to be considerate of that enough to give them the space to figure it out versus putting them in scenarios where they have to be all or nothing, because that's dangerous.
Oh no, I most totally agree with you. And it's crazy that I just had this conversation with a young lady too. I was telling her, like, to think that people both give 50, like everything is equally, it's naive,
Yeah.
because you either have somebody that's going to love harder, you have somebody that's going to do more.
Yeah.
And what I was telling her was, I said, even if you're doing less, you need to make that less feel 100% like you're doing the best with that less.
Yeah.
Um, and people don't do that. Like, I know my strengths,
Yeah.
so if you're stronger, then I'm gonna make what I know I can do. I'm gonna put in 100% in that. I'm
Yeah.
gonna allow you to lead that situation, but I'm gonna contribute. And when I contribute, it's gonna be 100% of my effort. I'm not gonna be, oh well, you in the lead, so that's your job. Nah, we a team. So you do what you can do, and I'm gonna do what I can do, and we can meet somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and it's not that it's equal, but I can make it feel like it's equal. And it's like, but a lot of people don't do that because it's like, oh, well, you got the power, so this is your job. Like, nah, it ain't. It's our job because we're one cohesive unit.
Facts. And it's still going to equal 100%.
Exactly.
It's still going to
And
equal 100%.
yeah, and a lot of people don't understand that, and it's just like, especially in a whole little dating situation, because it's like, well, you need to give 100, and just to give a little insight, it was funny. I had a conversation with an ex not too long ago, and she had to apologize. And I'm like, like, what do you like? I'm over it, but like, what are you apologizing for? And she's like, like, I was giving 50%. She was like, I knew you were giving 100. She was like, I just didn't know how to match what you were doing. So I could only half-assed it. And wow. It was just like, and I was like, I appreciate your apology. And I was like, but I knew that already. Because, women don't understand, like men, we're even though a lot of women think men are dumb, men are very intuitive. They do. I mean, they don't understand men are very intuitive. When it comes to feelings, or especially men who've been raised around women. Like me, I have 6 sisters. So I've been and I have a lot of aunties and I've been around women. So, you can pay attention to certain things. You can pay attention to certain behaviors and certain efforts and certain energies. And, you can tell when somebody's half-assing. Yeah. But we just don't tend to speak up on it much.
I would, and the thing is, like, and I'm glad that you're saying that. I wish this, and that was the other part to that. I wish that men would be more transparent with women, because I think what happens is men let women get away with a lot of stuff, and they just not being direct, not being clear, not being, for out. Because yeah. I'm gonna say this because I've talked to my husband about like this whole concept of transparency, but I think this is a double sword kind of situation where, I challenge men to be men, be transparent, be direct, be assertive, be clear. And then I also challenge women to provide a safe space for that to happen, because I do understand where it's like, okay, well, yeah, you asking me to do all this, but that's not going to go over well. And the thing that I say to men is, it's not your job to protect her feelings in that way. She has the freedom and she has the right to have feelings, to respond to what you're saying. What I do need though is you to still be able to move through that and let her own and be accountable for her feelings. And then you guys have a productive conversation from there. But that should not deter you from being direct and transparent.
Okay, so I'm glad we touched on this. So when it comes to the whole, I guess, like you said, men being men, a lot of us avoid confrontation.
Yes. Okay? Thank you. Yes.
We do. And the reason we avoid confrontation is because confrontation never ends in our favor. So my thing is, I can be direct and I can be transparent, but a lot of people, or I'm not even gonna say a lot of people, a lot of women take that as criticism.
Yeah, but it is.
Yeah, but they don't take and they don't take it as constructive criticism.
Yeah,
they take it as direct defensive criticism. So they get on the defense, and then that being direct and being transparent turns into something that it's not supposed to be. It turns into what you did a couple months ago to piss me off. And now, well, you did this and you did this, and it's a tit for tat type of situation. And men, we don't. It's like it's a lesser of two evils. Yeah. So it's like, be quiet and internalize and deal with it on your own, or make it something that it's not. And this is what I was also getting into with the emotionally irrational.
Yeah.
Like a lot of women are emotionally irrational when it comes to their feelings because they don't know how to process,
Yeah.
because they've never been told to process. It was you could just blow up, and you
Mm.
know and it's cool, right? To where men can be mad, but they're supposed to contain their anger. They're
Yeah.
supposed to eat it, you
Yeah.
know. And it's like that's arguments with women can go from 0 to 100.
Yeah.
And you know it goes into also like a lot of men, feel like they can't be vulnerable towards women because when it comes to arguments, women tend to use what was told to them as fuel.
Mm.
They like to use that as gasoline. Like for instance, I had an argument with an ex, um, and I had told her like when I was younger I got molested by my babysitter. Um, and as we're into this argument, she brings it up like it was going to hurt me, and it was funny. And I was like, damn, like that's where we're going. Like, wow. Like I told you that in confidence, and I told you that because I trusted you, but now because you're mad, you bring these things up.
Mm.
And that tends to happen more often than none when it comes to disagreements with men and women.
But you know what? I'm going to say this. I think that goes back to two things. That goes back to submissiveness, where one, of course, that was like off the table. That's the off limits, first and foremost. But two, instead of being submitting to your vulnerability in that moment and submitting to, okay, maybe I'm hurt, maybe I'm sad, maybe I'm feeling rejected, maybe I'm feeling abandoned, whatever that feeling is, it goes into being defensive and it doesn't allow space for safe conversation, which is what I hear you saying. and
Right.
and that's the part that I trying to educate women on that valuable tool or skill, self-control. Like because some of this is not even about doing it right or having the right words. Sometimes just about not saying or doing anything in that moment so you can collect yourself enough to be productive. Sometimes it is about practicing control. But you're right. This idea that so many women have been given permission to just act a damn fool is not okay, and it's really not safe, because in so many of these scenarios it then puts men at risk, because if I behave to you in the way that you are behaving to me, I'm going to jail. However, then we're back at square one. We spending money. Now I got a record. Now we got all this stuff going on. Practice some self-control. And I 100% agree with you. So many men talk about how unsafe it is just to be vulnerable, how unsafe it is just to be themselves in a space that's not protecting, providing. It's just saying, I'm a person, I want to be expressive, this is how I feel, and it's just not safe.
Not at all. And like, yeah, like, and it's wild because like you said, it tends to blow up.
Mm.
And I've been in situations or relationships where the women got aggressive and got forceful, and you know and and I could, and as a man, you have to practice, like you said, self-control, because one, you can't defend yourself in those situations because it turns into, well, he touched me and he hit, and it's, as a black man, it don't matter if you got a broken nose, scratches on your face. When the police show up, you're the aggressor,
Mm.
regardless. It doesn't matter what she says,
Mm.
So, things are tricky, and I feel like yes, Black women have it hard, but I feel like I don't think they understand the context in which Black men have it hard.
Yeah.
And yes, we do. We have some shitty Black men out there. I will definitely. We do. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I know a few. I know a few. Um, but at the same time, too, I feel like a lot of Black men, when it comes to dating, we get the shit that they caused put on us, regardless.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is. And then, but that also goes back to, I feel like Black men get blamed for the poor decisions in men that women make.
You better talk that shit. Listen.
I do. I feel like we get blamed for that because my thing is, at the end of the day, as a man, I can't tell you that you're going to be in a relationship.
Yeah.
You have to accept that I want to be in a relationship with you and you bring that. I can't, I've never been in any relationship where I was like, oh, we together.
Yep.
But a woman basically has to accept that. Yeah. So my thing is, you've accepted or made these decisions to be with XY, X man or 1, 2, 3 man. Cool. But those are purely based on the decisions that you made.
Yeah.
But you can't blame men for your poor decisions. Just like I can't blame women for the bad apples that I've dated.
For sure.
And I can't, because that was the accountability that I had to take. I made those decisions.
Yeah.
And granted, yeah, it was fucked up shit, but I made it. So I can't blame you for those situations. But it's like I tend to hear, oh, all niggas is the same, and it's like, well, baby girl, like, check this out. Like, you picked that brother. You picked to have a baby with that brother, or you picked to be in a relationship with that brother. Like, nobody put a gun to your head.
Yeah. Yes. And that those choices have consequences. Those choices have long consequences.
Yeah, every choice has a consequence. Yeah. And people don't understand that. So it's just like, either you're gonna ride with it. And also I feel like people make choices and feel like they have to, like, they don't have an exit plan for those choices. And I feel like, because dating and relationships, they're not marriage. You could leave.
Yeah.
You can bounce.
Yep.
You're not forced to be there.
Yeah. You are absolutely right. Yes. Yeah. Ooh, this was such a fruitful conversation. I do hope that women are able to listen, and I hope that men are able to take away from this.
Almost definitely.
The value of being transparent and, like, telling women the truth. Like, because I think the issue has become that for so long we've been able to get away with things, and somebody hadn't pulled our coattail to say, yo, that's not cute. That's not attractive. I don't like it. I don't want to be with that. Like, just flat out been completely honest and said, this is not cool. I don't think that I hadn't heard about my behavior until I met my husband. I had never heard. And he really ran it down and was like, yo, you need to chill on this. You're disrespectful when you do this. This is not cool. This is not cool. And it was like a ton of bricks. Like, what do you mean? I've been this person my whole life. So now you're telling me that something is wrong with it? I don't understand that. But after I got over the shock of it, it was absolutely a gift. It not only prepared me to be and encouraged me to be a better person, but it prepared me to be a better spouse. And it prepared me to be in a marriage. He didn't have to choose me either.
Exactly.
Like, he didn't have to choose me. That was a gift to me. He didn't have to choose me. And him saying, hey Sade, this is not cool. Hey Sade, when you do this, that's disrespectful. Hey Sade, your mouth is reckless. Chill. Like him being able to tell me those things, me adhere, take accountability, redirect. It was really a gift to me because I wasn't, he's not, he wasn't different from any other man in that nobody's gonna marry you or want to be with you long term doing shit like that.
And they
Nobody's
don't understand
gonna
that.
do that.
They don't understand that. Like, I feel like women want to be married, but they don't understand the accountability that they have to take for their actions. And they don't understand that a man has to want to marry
Yeah.
you know and I don't it feels like, I guess they're like, oh well, I have all of these characteristics, I'm wifey material, but it's like, that's cool and all, but a man has to want to marry you. And it's not just your good, he has to want to marry your bad,
Yeah, for sure.
you
Hands
know
down.
and it's like, your representative is cool, but baby, I need to see them demons. i
Yeah.
need to see I need to see if our demons work well together. Because if our demons don't work well together, then it ain't no point in us even going that route.
Yeah. And it's, marriage is a job.
It
Like,
is.
like it's not, you know, you're a caretaker.
Yeah.
You are a provider in some ways. You are constantly put in situations where you're having to make sacrifices and you're having to be submissive and you're having to check yourself. It is a job, moment to moment, not even day for day. A lot of
No.
moment for moment,
Yeah.
to be
And
intentional,
I
choose, in this moment, this is what he needs from me or she needs from me. And
yeah.
this is what I have to do. It really is one of the hardest jobs, if not the hardest job I've ever done. It is a job though.
And I feel like people don't take that into account. So like, I feel like when it comes to relationships and marriages, um, I don't think they actually understand the upkeep
It's
and the the effort that you have to consistently and constantly put in. you know and it's like, I think they look at it as it's something that they want to do, but they don't understand the things they have to do to keep it afloat.
for sure.
you know and I feel like people don't take that into account too. You have to do this. Like, there's no, like, oh, I'm gonna take a break. Like, nah, like, it ain't no taking a break. You can't slack off on your situation.
The thing that it's, I'm so glad that you said that. And I actually want to do a segment specifically on marriage because you're absolutely right. This is not, this is a job. Like this is like part of the reason my husband married me, and I'm very clear, was that I interviewed well. He gave me feedback. I came back. I said I'm gonna work hard, but he still
Right.
expects me to produce what was on my resume
Exactly.
all the time. And now, are there like, yeah, there goes the nuance with like 80/20, 60/40, that kind of thing. But it's also like, yo, like I'm expected to manage my household. That's my role. That's my job. I'm expected to make sure he has a dental appointment scheduled, that he has a doctor's appointment. I manage all of those things. That's a part of my role. But it's a job. It's not something that is optional. That's what I signed up for. And
Exactly.
signing up for relationships, like what you're talking about, is yeah, you have all these things for me to do, but yeah, by the way, these are all the things I need you to do. Are you
Right.
prepared to sign up for this job?
Yeah, and I think a lot of women don't understand. Like, I feel like they think that they can produce rather than actually producing. So when it comes to actually being in that job,
Yeah.
it becomes overwhelming because they didn't understand what they signed up for.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's what I get, like, with the whole exclusive situation. So it's like, you want me to basically make you in charge of all of my needs, my wants, my desires. Like, are you actually willing and ready to take on all of that?
Yeah.
And it's like a lot of people, and even men, it's like I don't think men and women understand, like, once you ask for exclusivity, like, you're basically saying that you're willing to be in charge of that person's needs, desires, and wants.
Yeah. Because they're not going to seek them otherwise.
Right.
Other in other places.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
And I think that's like the biggest disconnect in relationships, because it's like you think, oh, we're just gonna be together. Like, nah, like, we're gonna be together, but this is what is gonna be required.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you. I appreciate you.
You have been fantastic. I really do think this is such a powerful opportunity for people to not just guess, not just hear, specifically women, not just getting advice from your girlfriends who may or may not have somebody and all of that. I mean, and you know what I'm saying. Like,
Oh, most definitely.
they really get the opportunity to hear it directly from a man who is dating, a man who is looking for something long term, a man who does want to date a black woman and be with a black woman, but also understanding the ins and outs from your perspective. So I am so grateful that you did this with me. I think this is going to be fantastic. It's such, you dropped so many jewels and shared such great information. I appreciate that.
Ladies, DMs, CJ Hall, talk about, I got no kids, I travel, I got a passport, holla at your boy. Nah.